What is up, Ravens flock? We are here. It is finally game week. Welcome into another episode of 410 Sports Talk. My name is James Haskell, along with my co-host Glenn Martin. DK will be with us shortly, and we are here to break it down. We're excited to talk about all things week one, in regards to the Baltimore Ravens. I don't know, Glenn, this year, are we going to do a pick 'em for the weekly? We might not. We might not. We'll see.
We'll see what happens.
I
wouldn't mind it. Oh, you watch your tongue, James. You watch your tongue.
But I tell you what, man, I'm super excited for tonight. Can't wait.
Dude, I didn't think I'd be this pumped, but these damn Raider fans got me hyped, Jimbo. I mean, they're talking so reckless for a team that has not been relevant since I was born. I mean, I don't know where they get all. I mean, the confidence they have going into this game, it's staggering to me. I don't understand where it comes from, Jimbo. I mean, they are so hyped for this game, and it's going to be beat down. It's going to be bad news Bears. We know what the Ravens do in week one. It's hammer time, but we're going to get into it all. We're going to break down why it will be hammer time, in my opinion. I don't want to speak for James a little prematurely here, but I don't understand. I'm hopeful that we get some Raiders fans in these comments because I don't like writing these long-winded comments back to the long-winded comments that come our way. But I mean, they're really laughable. I mean, it's hilarious the criticisms that Lamar Jackson and the Ravens get, while at the same time hyping up their players that are way worse.
Right.
I mean, and I'm going to get into it. I'm going to get into it, but I'm not going to spoil it right now. What's up?
Yeah, but I just want to let you guys really quickly. I want to let you guys in on something. I want to peel the onion back a little bit. All right, we were a few minutes late tonight. Okay, Glenn was on the mic before me, but I hopped in to the meeting room. We're talking about what we're going to talk about tonight, and we're super excited. And Glenn's looking awful distracted. I'm like, what is going on here, right? We were a few minutes late. You see how he's a little fired up about the my man is going to town on some commenters. Man, that's how fired up this guy is. But look, you're right, Glenn. You're totally right. I mean, and we're gonna get into it, break it down, really, but not too much of a leg to stand on when it comes to the Las Vegas Raiders. But Jim Brown is incessantly putting this in the chat. That we need to talk about Stephen A. I don't know if you saw that clip. I think he basically said you're not an elite quarterback until you're an elite passer.
Ridiculous insults to Lamar Jackson. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, so we can talk about that. But at the end of the day, we know what it is with Stephen A. It's not complicated. He's sour grapes because look at his squad's quarterback. I've said it before. Ben Roethlisberger looks like he has 2 feet in Home Depot buckets of cement. He takes golf carts from field to field in practice, and he's falling apart. He's the Tin Man. I mean, so he's just salty. It's just salty.
He's a hater.
Their backup quarterback doesn't know how to follow COVID protocols. And you want to talk about a bust. Dude is a bust. I mean, so Stephen A is just hating. I think it's just as simple as that. Don't you think? He wishes
First
Lamar
of all, let me
Jackson
just let people know briefly what he said. He basically said he's not an elite quarterback because he doesn't consider him an elite thrower of the football.
Yeah.
It's just more hate. And I love the excuses that people will give to why his numbers, because they'll throw numbers at you, but don't look at Lamar's numbers because his numbers aren't real. Because his numbers are because of this. They'll be like, well, his numbers he gets a lot of one-on-ones on the outside. And that's why he gets bigger. Why is that a bad thing? Like, why is that?
That's a knock.
Why is it okay when Odell Beckham and Landry get one-on-ones because they have a strong run game, and that's okay? Why is it okay now that A.J. Brown is opposite Julio Jones? Are we going to criticize A.J. Brown? Are we going to criticize Julio Jones because they have good counterparts around them? Like they criticize Lamar because we force teams to play man coverage and all this. And it's forced a lot of one-on-one matchups because of the strong run game. He's the reason the run game is strong. Like, it's so full. They go, well, yeah, he has a lot of touchdown passes, but they were short fields. Well, why was the field short? The field was short because he just orchestrated the drive that got him in the red zone and milked all the clock and kept your offense on the sideline. I mean, the excuses that get made, it is unbelievable. No quarterback, and Nick, I'm not. This isn't my quote. Nick Wright said this, and he's 100% right. No quarterback, no player has accomplished more and gotten less respect. It is ridiculous. Anytime you bring up any of his stats, there's always, well, yeah, because of this. I mean, Derek Carr had a great year last year, right? He had a fantastic year. Look at his number. He had a worse year than Lamar Jackson. Look at him. You can hit me with yards and all that you want. The guy throws it 150 times less than anyone in the league, and he has more touchdowns than Derek Carr over the last 2 years. It is absolutely ridiculous. They criticize him for yards. You want Dak's 5,000 yards with 22 touchdowns? You want that? You want a bunch of meaningless yards in between the 20s? Or do you want a guy who gets it done in the tightest area, which is the red zone, where he's led the league in touchdowns from the red zone, from the pocket? It's so stupid how they get on this guy. I mean, it's got me fired up, Jimbo. I'm sorry, but these commenters that hate
I'm with you
on Lamar it's so stupid, Jimbo. It's stupid.
Yeah, there's no other way to put it. There's not like a nice or political way to put it. It's lazy, it's dumb, it's stupid, it's unfortunate because I think it's getting to the point where the only people that are still like feeding into this narrative are people that don't actually watch football, or are people that have some sort of, secondary motive for trashing Lamar Jackson. Because look, and somebody said it before, this is the only comment I get in with it. I don't even know his name, but he said it was a childish take to compare wins and losses basically because you got to worry about the unit around you. And he said, you put Lamar Jackson on the what did he say? The Texans. Let me tell you what, you put Lamar Jackson on the Texans, they're pushing for a playoff spot. They're pushing everyone in the AFC South. Certainly it doesn't matter. That's the special thing about Lamar Jackson. We've talked about this before. Like very Allen Iverson-like in that dude can do it all. Just put it on his shoulders. Like he's any way you want to slice it, any way you want to break it down. Like some people get too buried in the stats, right? Some people get too buried in the narrative. Just watch with your eyes. Watch all the pressure that he puts on a defense. Watch all the pressure that he puts on a coaching staff, and then watch how much he elevates. You talk about this all the time, Glenn. It's so true. Watch how much he elevates the guys around him. How much better does he make the run game? How much better does he make offensive linemen? You know how many millions of dollars he just made Mark Andrews and Ronnie Stanley? I mean, like you said, Ronnie Stanley was like slightly above average, statistically speaking, with Joe Flacco back there. All of a sudden, he's an all-pro. Not saying that Ronnie isn't deserving that contract, but the point is Lamar affects the game. It's funny, and I'll end with this. The run game, regardless, just the run game in football, a positive run game has a positive impact on your team, both offensively and defensively, right? Because it keeps your defense off the field and fresh. It keeps your offense moving forward, keeps the other team's offense off the field. Lamar Jackson does all those things times like 10. It's incredible to me. So yeah, I'm with you. I can't stand it anymore. For years, I've been deferential and like listening to people like, okay, fine. You want to see this? You want to see that? Stop. Like, I'm done with I can't take it anymore. I'm with you 1,000%. Like, I can't. The old heads, like my uncles, will talk about, well, I kind of want this kind of quarterback. He's the winningest quarterback in 37 outings or whatever it is.
Yeah.
What else do you want? Don't tell me about your preferences.
And by the way, nobody scored more points than the Ravens in the last 2 years. So he wins. He scores more points. He gives less opportunity for the opposing offense. And I love that they criticize him for being a dual threat guy. Do we hear criticism for Christian McCaffrey for being a Pro Bowl receiver and a Pro Bowl running back? Or is that a good thing to have? Like, do we criticize Le'Veon Bell when he was in his prime, when he was a threat out of the backfield, catching 88 balls, plus putting up 1,000 yards on the ground? Did we criticize that, or was that a good thing to have that?
And wasn't that the whole thing why he wanted to get paid more? I mean, that wasn't a detriment to his game. That was, an added
and
value.
I thought the comment, by the way, I think it was, and let me give him credit because I thought he said a lot of really impressive things. Like they criticize, do we criticize Kelsey? Do we call Kelsey one of the best, if not the best tight ends in football? I think we can all agree with that. How's he as a blocker, Jimbo?
No.
He's a horrendous blocker. Nobody ever brings Oh, he's one of the best tight ends. They just forego the fact that the guy
half
can't
of his
block.
responsibility, he's garbage. He's Ngakwe on the offensive side of the ball.
Don't even bring that up, right? I mean, you can't. And by the way, it was Billy Williams who had a fantastic comment, and I wanted to give him credit. It's absolutely silly. I mean, people forget that the Ravens were 4-5 and their season was heading down the tank, and then they put Lamar Jackson. He goes 7-1 and leads them to the playoffs. I mean, it is just unbelievable how people hate on this guy. It drives us absolutely crazy. Sorry about that, Daryl Green. Cam Wee says, brothers, the guy y'all had up for the Raiders is clearly on the game. RD is not allowing 30 points. Let's just start there. We're going to drag their ass through the dirt. Let's get it. And you know what? Honestly, I mean, I agree with you in your sentiments. I'll say that. I don't see the comparisons that were made during that show. Again, we try and be nice to our guests, and so
we appreciate the time, but everyone has the right to disagree.
Exactly, and we're not going to get crazy combative with our guests, but yeah, I mean, I just can't see it. I mean, you're talking about the number 2 defense, but look, let's get into it, Jimbo. I'm not going to sit here too long. We're going to get into the preview of this game. We're going to go in all the detail that you guys want and deserve.
And just before we do, let's talk about the transactions really quickly, or at least I'm assuming that was going to be part of it. I figured that'd be a good place to start because one clarification, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Glenn, because we didn't talk pre-show, but I'm 99% sure that Trenton Cannon has been signed to the 53. Le'Veon is still on the practice squad. So obviously my comments last night with Le'Veon being called up soon were prior to the Trent Cannon signing. Now they could bring them both up. Obviously we had 2 injuries. But I want to get your thoughts now that Trenton Cannon is there. Do you see Le'Veon in week 1?
You know, I think I'd be surprised at this point if he's up, because when John Harbaugh talks about that third running back, he talks about you have to be able to play special teams. Well, Trenton more 1-for-1 replacement of Justice. Justice Hill was more of a special teams ace when he was active and was only really used offensively when it was absolutely necessary. And I think the same will be said about Cannon. He played 40% of his team's special team snaps last season, so that's where he really excels. We're not going to come in and ask Le'Veon Bell to be a gunner. We're not going to, go ask Le'Veon Bell to go run on kickoff coverage. That's just not something he's, at this point in his career, going to be asked to do. I would be surprised if I saw number 17 jogging down the field on a punt. But Cannon very much so will be in that ilk, and he's similar in talent to what Justice Hill was going to bring to this team. So I think that he'll likely be active week 1, and they'll wait for Le'Veon Bell to get his feet under him, get in football shape, and get acclimated with the playbook. Because again, he's only going to be effective. Le'Veon Bell's only going to be effective really when he's on the field offensively. I would be highly surprised to see him out there doing much at all on special teams. So they got to get him up to speed on the playbook. And I think they brought Le'Veon Bell in really to replace what JK was expected to bring in the passing game, right? They brought in an accomplished route runner, a guy who's caught so many balls and is really, if not the very best running back of his era, he's certainly up there in the top 3 and in the conversation for number 1. So he certainly brings a lot to this passing game that they felt they lost when J.K. Dobbins went out.
Yeah, so I agree with you. I want to get your thoughts there. Usually we agree on these type of things. The crazy thing is, 9 times out of 10 we agree. It's funny if you guys knew the amount, we do a lot of prep stuff before the show, but usually our live stuff, we just hit it and go. So
you muted yourself, Jimbo? All right, well, he's going to have some technical difficulties, but let me just double down on why I say that Cannon is just like Justice Hill. He's averaged 3 yards a carry in his career on a 48 rush career. So very similar in the fact that Justice Hill still hasn't had that breakout, game or that breakout moment to where he can kind of prove it that he belongs on the field offensively. Now, in fairness to him, he hasn't been given a ton of opportunity, but even the year in 2019, when the Ravens set the record for rushing, he didn't average 4 yards a carry, which is really the bare minimum of what you want to do as a successful running back. So both of these guys are kind of similar in that they both need this season to kind of show that they can do more than just be a special teams contributor. So I think it's a really great kind of 1-for-1 replacement getting this guy. Now they got to get him up to speed to where he's effective. That was the thing Justice Hill had in his favor is he's been here, he knows the system, he knows the program here, and knows exactly how he can get himself on the field if that's not offensively. But we're going to wait and see if Cannon can get up to speed, and hopefully he can do so quickly because they need a third running back active. And if it's not Le'Veon Bell, if he's not ready yet, it's going to have to be Cannon.
Yeah, like I was saying, I memean, I agree with you 1,000%. I think that'll end up being the case. It's going to be really interesting to see what they do with Bell moving forward. We kind of talked about, you feel a little bad for Tyson Williams in this scenario, but he's got to look at this like, this game is everything as far as him putting a positive step forward, continuing putting stuff on tape, going out there and showing his best. It's got to be a week-to-week thing for him, right? To say, okay, I got this week to do my best. Now, I got next week and next week and next week, but not the whole season. He's got to look at it as a week-to-week thing at this point, because if Le'Veon is who we think he is, then certainly I don't know how long Tyson's going to hold on to that number 2 spot. All right, how do you want to break this game down then, Glenn?
Well, I guess we'll start
just a reminder, just like with Cam Wee, guys, get in here in the chat. We're trying to keep up with you as much as we can. If you want to guarantee response, throw a super chat up there. We appreciate the support. If not, obviously throw in your comments. We want you guys live and active. So feel free.
Yes, absolutely. And so I guess where I'll start is we'll just compare the 2020 teams, and then we'll go over some of the changes that we've seen on both sides of the ball, and we'll kind of go from there and go into some predictions and stuff. But the 2020 Las Vegas Raiders, I'm going to start on offense, Jimbo, and then I can go to defense unless you have it in front of you. You could pick up that where I'm going to leave off. But as far as points go, the Raiders ranked 10th in the league last year, and yards they ranked 8th overall offensively. Turnovers 27th, so turned the ball over a little bit there. And then passing yards, they were 7th in the league. And 11th in passing touchdowns, and then rushing the ball 14th in the NFL, and 6th in rushing touchdowns. So top 10 offense is how I call it, Jimbo. They had, definitely. I wouldn't say the offense was the reason that they didn't have a winning season last year. I don't think that was the main issue. Of course, there's room for improvement, just like everywhere. But they certainly did enough to where that wasn't the reason they were losing games. And just to highlight a couple of their big players, obviously Derek Carr is their quarterback, was last year as well. He had 27 touchdowns to 9 interceptions, had a 67.3 completion percentage, threw for 4,100 yards. And so let's see, and then their leading running back, of course, is Josh Jacobs, who's a really talented back, ran for 1,065 yards. Just 3.9 yards per carry, which, as I said earlier, Jimbo, I'm not impressed. And I mean, to me, you got to be at least at 4 for me to even blink an eye. Now, I understand Jacobs is a talented back, but I'm sure if you asked him, he's pretty disappointing with 3.9 yards per carry. 4 is where you want to be at the bare minimum. And again, Gus Edwards is over 5 for his career. So you can see it's a pretty big difference. And then catching the ball out of the backfield, he had 33 catches for 230 yards, no receiving touchdowns. Through the air, I guess their leading receiver last year is, of course, their stud tight end. We're familiar with them, Darren Waller, 107 catches. We know him. Man, you're still having some technical difficulties, and this will be a meme. Like someone said in the comments, we're going to have to put that on a shirt. Jimmy's having technical difficulties. We'll be on a shirt in the near future. But he had 107 catches on 145 targets, Jimbo. Imagine, will there ever be a player on the Baltimore Ravens that gets 145 targets? That's absolutely staggering. He fell just short of 1,200 yards receiving with 1,196, and he had 9 touchdowns through the air. So certainly they're stud through the air. I think the player you got to look out for most outside on the outside in the receiving room is probably Hunter Renfrow. They lost Nelson Aguilar, who was the big-time outside threat for them. He had eight touchdowns and just shy of 900 yards. But Hunter Renfrow is still very much there. He's their talented
can you hear
slot. Me? Yep, I got you now. He's their talented slot. You can't hear me? Oh my goodness, my guy Jimbo is struggling. But Hunter Renfrow is their talented slot receiver, who's kind of like, if you had to compare him to guys. Of course, you're going to look to New England. They've had a bunch of them, but like the Wes Welker, Julian Edelman, tough, good, really good route runner, good in and out of his breaks. He had 56 catches, 656 yards, just 2 touchdowns. So I'm sure he's looking to improve there. But Hunter Renfrow, I've said this before. I'm a big fan of his when he was in college. I felt like he was the only one that wanted to go and catch the ball when they played against Alabama. When he was at Clemson, he was not shy about going and getting that ball, going over the middle, taking on those tough catches. So I'm a big fan of Hunter Renfrow. I think the Ravens are going to certainly have to watch out for him on third down and those key situations where he's going to look to try and pick up some yardage. Not necessarily a big play threat. Again, he's a chain mover. He's a guy that he can get open in a small space. Not necessarily going to burn you down the field, but certainly creates separation with his exquisite route running. And then Henry Ruggs is their big time pick last year. Has a ton of speed. Came out of Alabama with a bunch of hype, and of course, being the Raiders, they went for the fastest guy in the draft, and they certainly got that with Henry Ruggs. Think of a bit of a disappointing year for him. Just 26 catches, 450 yards, and only 2 touchdowns. I'm sure he would have liked to have been on the field a little bit more. He only played in 13 of the 16 games. I'm sure he wants to improve on that and get himself healthy and keep on the field. But I mean, he's a talented player. There's no doubt when he's on the field, he's a guy you got to keep your eye on. You better have some speed too, because the guy can certainly run with the best of them. And then looking at the Ravens, actually, let me do a little bit of defensive work since Jimbo's struggling. I forgot I only did the offense. So defensively, this is where they really struggled. They ranked 30th again in points on defense. Not where you want to be when there's only 32 teams. So that's not good. Then in yards, 25th in total yards, giving up 6,225. Are you with us, Jimbo?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay. All right. I'm still not so sure about this. I'm not sold yet.
I'm not either.
We're 30th in forcing turnovers. Forced just 15 turnovers all season. So not a team that gets their hands on a bunch of balls and coughs it up and flips the field, or if you will, for their defense. They were 26th against the passing yards, 16th, giving up 28 passing touchdowns, and then against the run, which is really key for this upcoming game, 24th in the league. 24th in the league in yardage against the run, and 30th, giving up 24 touchdowns on the ground. They really struggled on defense last year, and man, I know they made some adjustments, and we're going to get into that. Certainly, hiring a new defensive coordinator, Gus Bradley, seemed like something that definitely needed to be done. But their stars from last year, they're big time players that played well. Look out for Max Crosby. In his rookie year, he played in all 16 games and had 7 sacks. He's I think a 4th round pick for them, a real diamond in the rough that they found. He looks like he's going to be a player and somebody they got to deal with. Of course, on the back end, they had a very talented safety, Abram, I think his name is. How do I not find him on my list?
Mr. I dented my face mask.
Yeah, I mean, this guy plays, you talk about 100 miles an hour. This guy, I mean, there it is, Jonathan Abram. He's right at the top. He had 86 combined tackles last year. But the knock on him is he struggles in coverage. So he's a monster
and he
coming
can't
up
stay
and
healthy.
helping the run. Yeah, I mean, he's one of those players that you almost have to protect against himself. He just goes so fat and goes so hard at the opponent that he oftentimes ends up injuring himself because he's a safety, so he's not like this big imposing fort. Now he can lay the wood, but a lot of times he takes the bad end of it as well. So they did bring in some help there, Jimbo. I don't know if you want to start addressing that or if you want to switch over to
So this
Ravens.
is where I want to go. I had some technical difficulties there, but really quick, I want to speak to Asmodeus the Notice real quick, and then I want to take a step back. Have you guys had the McBanger yet? Sorry, I've been gone for so long. Just started on Masters. So answer your question. Yes. I've had the McBanger multiple times. I had it. I would frequent McDonald's in college, and certainly it was a custom of mine. So yes, I don't think Glenn has yet.
No.
Also,
And I hope I don't have to.
For those of you that are new to the show, a McBanger is a McDouble with a McChicken in the middle of it. Really simple and really tasty, but bring your Tums. Awesome. You started on
And
your
bring
Masters.
your wet wipes.
Oh, gross.
Bring your wet wipes.
Oh,
Okay.
so
it's
gross.
crucial.
But Asmodeus, we're glad you're back. Hopefully everything's going well with the Masters and it's successful. But Glenn, this is where I actually want to go. Before I was having technical difficulties, you were talking about their offense. And so this is really how I want to sum it, because I agree with you when you're talking about Jacobs. He's talented, but really his numbers have been based on volume, right? Not efficiency. You get 1 million carries. Okay, well, then you're going to get numbers, right? Somebody's got to carry the rock. So my question is, I know that Waller's he's an all-pro type guy, and Jacobs is a Pro Bowl type guy. But is there anyone that actually scares you? Like, Waller concerns me, but I don't think he's going to beat us single-handedly. Is there anyone that really, really concerns you that could wreck this game for us?
Well, I mean, if you really had to look at, I would say that Waller's that guy. I mean, I don't think Renfrow is a guy that can really kill you. He can kind of nickel and dime you and keep his offense on the field. So that worries me in some way. But the home run threat is obviously going to be Henry Ruggs. If he gets behind the defense, if he gets a step on really any corner in the league, if he's healthy, good luck trying to catch up to him. So there's some guys that make me a little bit nervous. I think Josh Jacobs is a talented running back. 3.9 is not going to get it done. But I also remember his rookie year. I believe he led the league in like forced missed tackles. So he can definitely make that first guy miss. You got to bring a buddy. If you got to gang tackle this guy and certainly run to the football, which the Ravens, like to say they all do. So hopefully they will on Monday night. But yeah, there's some guys. I mean, you don't want to overlook a team. This team's got some talent.
Sure.
But I guess if I had to pinpoint one guy, it would certainly be Darren Waller.
And then the other question I have, and first of all, Prince Quan, I'm in my feelings right now. Apparently you don't FW James. You only FW Glenn. That's
harsh. Thank you, Prince. Appreciate it, Prince.
But
one of the commenters from the Raiders said, I'm so basically he was saying I was trash, and he only gave you credit, Jimbo. So look, I mean, it goes both ways.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah, certainly. But this is what I would say. So my follow-up question to that, I start to think, and I agree with you. It's really just Waller. Jacobs is a concern, but I think our monsters up front are going to get the job done. I have no concern that we can stop the run. But how do you see us addressing Waller? Is it a situation? Jimmy's not going to be there.
Right.
We got some young guys, but how do you see them? Yeah, I mean, he's obviously a mismatch for anyone. I don't want PQ on him.
Well, there's one guy I don't think he's that big of a mismatch for, Jimbo.
Wait a second.
Old Punch is coming. You put Marlon Humphrey on him because why not? Because why not?
I'm with you.
You got guys.
Would be Jimmy, right? Like, Jimmy
I think so.
He's not there.
But he's not there. So you got Marcus Peters on one side, right? That side's taken care of. I'm fine with that side. The other side, you got Anthony Averett, who Wink said he's their third best corner. He's going to be on the outside. They got Chris Westry, who's obviously going to be on the outside. And then Tavon Young is still upright, still healthy. He's going to be dominating the slot. So why not put Marlon Humphrey on their clear-cut best receiving option?
Did Jimmy practice today?
I didn't see, but are you seeing that he did practice? Even if he did practice today,
saying that he practiced.
Okay, all right. Well, I'd like to see. Yeah, that would be awesome. Now I see a bunch of different guys mentioning guys in the comments here. I'd be nervous if Deshaun Elliott was guarding him. Not that I'm not confident in Deshaun Elliott. It's just that's a handful for him. Anthony Averett, same with him. He's a big boy. Anthony Averett's a little more slight. I think you put your best on their best, right? You put Marlon Humphrey on.
It's crazy to think about. I agree with you 100%. But do you remember what AJ did to Marlon last year?
I remember what he did in the beginning, and I know how it ended.
That's a good point. After that, he was relatively. He was quiet.
He was quiet. So yeah, you're going to get beat, but look how he beat him. It wasn't like Marlon wasn't there. He sunned him a little
and
bit.
I still contend that was a penalty. You can't stiff arm a defender because if you get stiff armed as an offensive player, that's a penalty all day. So,
by the way, you would have loved to hear Tom Brady talk about the defensive.
I heard it.
NFL has done.
I heard it.
Did you not love that? I mean, that was
the only thing that I've ever liked that's come out of Tom Brady's mouth.
This guy said it perfectly. If you look up what Tom Brady said about what the NFL has done to the defense and how they penalize the defense for offensive players making mistakes, he was so dead on.
You don't think that Mike Evans is sitting there like, okay, 40-some-year-old GOAT, like, I respect you. You ain't taking them hits. You know what I mean? Like,
but he's right though.
There's a little bit of eye roll though, like, bro, I get it, but you throw the football.
I think they know. I think offensive players know.
I agree,
what the
100%.
NFL's done.
It is now and I agree with Tom Brady because you're not helping anyone. Number one, you're not helping. I mean, you're helping the offense, but you're not helping the game, is what I'm saying. Number two, it's corners. There's no such thing as a shutdown corner anymore. It's who can stop from breaking the rules and get away with it the longest.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like an actual shutdown thing anymore. So yeah, I agree with him, but yeah, it's so anyway, my point in asking that was, how we're going to address Darren Waller. I don't think he's going to wreck the game, but certainly he can have an impact, obviously. But that's a good point. And then I heard you talking about their defense, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I want to talk about our offense really quickly and what you expect to see in the run game and then in the passing game. So I want to give some thoughts, and then I kind of want to pinball back and forth because I think this is an important conversation. I think a lot of people are convinced that we are going to pass the ball more.
Mm-hmm.
I am sold, and I'm still sold to this day on JT Sullivan's breakdown of the Ravens. We had him on the show a while ago, but it was the offseason right after the Bills game, so go check it out. It's still valid, like, to this day. Former QB in the NFL and a current coach right now. You've probably seen him on YouTube. But one of the things he said was that it's not a numbers thing. It's a harmony thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think every game that target between passes and rushing attempts will change. I don't think it's going to be, all right, this year, because we want Lamar to throw the rock, we're going to be 30% running and 70% passing, and that's kind of what we're going to do. No, and in this game in particular, I don't think that it's going to be a crazy pass heavy, difference all of a sudden. So I guess what I'd like to know from you is, where do you see that line as far as the run game goes? And then we'll dig into kind of how it'll look. But do you see what I'm saying here?
Well, I mean, I guess, are you asking if I think it's going to be a really run-heavy offensive game
plan?
So
I guess what I'm asking is, do you see an incremental change in the run-to-pass ratio in comparison to what we regularly saw last year? Because honestly, I don't see an uptick that's over 10% in passing attempts.
I see what you're saying.
Does that make sense?
I think what we would have seen is not necessarily a huge uptick in design passing plays rather than design run plays. I think what we'll see is just those design passing plays stay passing plays more often, because look, we remember that Lamar Jackson turned a lot of design pass into a run. I mean, he scrambled a lot of times, and instead of checking down like most quarterbacks would, he pointed, had that guy turn around and block, and he became, since he is the most elusive ball carrier pretty much in the league. He would be his own check down and allow that guy who normally would catch that to be his blocker. So I think that we're going to see a little bit less of that off schedule running from him. I think you still got to keep it and keep defenses on their toes and kind of let them know that it's there, and you have to account for it. But I do think he'll use the check down more often. He'll take what the defense gives him through the air a little bit more often than we've seen lately or thus far. So I do think that we're going to see, but look, there's no doubt that the injury to JK, unless Le'Veon Bell, looks like the old Le'Veon Bell, or at least somewhat of that, then we're going to, I think you got to do a little bit more than I originally would have anticipated, because I think he was a big part of their plans as far as catching the ball out of the backfield. And now you lost that. So I think we might see a little bit more than if you would have asked me the same question maybe 2-3 weeks ago before the JK injury. But I do think you'll see just less rushes, because he won't turn passing plays into running plays quite as often as he did.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point. In that I do see him taking the check down more. And I hope that the players are looking, the running back coming out of the backfield are looking for it more, because that was certainly something that JT talked about as well. Mm-hmm. But let's talk about how we think the running attack will look proportion to the carries, right? Like, I mean, I think Gus is. What do you see him in the range? I see Gus, and I'm excited. I see Gus in the I'm going to call it 18 to 22 range for carries in this game. Mm-hmm. And I'm excited to see what Gus can do with that high volume of carries, because I think Gus is one of those guys where he just keeps burning like a furnace. You know what I'm saying? Like them old school boats where you're just throwing the coal in and it's just, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? He's just going and going. Yeah. The longer the game gets, the more chances he has to smack that defense in the face, the better it is for him. So I'm excited to see what he can do with it. What do you think from a carry standpoint Gus will be at?
I think that's a safe number. I think 18 to 22, really depending on the, how the game is going. If it's relatively close in that, look, in Baltimore, we're used to seeing a lot of our starters in the fourth quarter sitting on the bench. I mean, that's just is what it is since the Lamar Jackson era has begun. So unless we see that, like say they keep it close enough to where the Ravens need to continue to play their starters, I think 18 to 22 is reasonable, but it could even go a little bit above that just to, in clock killing time. But yeah, I think that's a safe bet there is 18 to 22. And then I think for the backup, whether that be, and I expect it to be Tyson Williams in that first game, at least, I would say somewhere between 8 to 12 is probably a good carry range for him. I think this is a game where you take advantage of their weakness and you take advantage of the Ravens' strength. You give the guys on the outside some more time to build chemistry, to get healthy, and you lean on what you do best, and that's just smash people in the mouth. When you look at their defense, Jimbo, I mean, it doesn't scare you from a run-stopping standpoint. I mean, they got Unique Ngakoue on the outside. We know what he is as a run defender. I mean, he's 230 pounds, Jimbo. So, I mean,
Gus Edwards weighs more than him.
Yeah, I mean,
what's he going to do when he sees 35 coming at when Lamar doesn't keep and he sees 35 coming at him?
I mean, he might be on the sideline.
Bulls and the Toro thing, just go ahead.
He might be on the sideline because this guy doesn't typically get a ton of run against first and second down when it's typically a run down. And then Max Crosby, again, I like him as a player, but definitely his weakness is playing the run, and you're going to have to do that a lot this Monday. I got news for you. Now, they did bring in Gerald McCoy, who, I think Ravens are still a little bit burned by him not signing here and choosing Cam Newton and the Carolina Panthers over Lamar Jackson and the Ravens during 2019, but right before 2019 season, by the way, which is mistake for Gerald McCoy. But I think he's still got a lot left in the tank. I think he's still a talented player. I think Cleveland Farrell, who was their 4th overall pick a couple years ago, was kind of this, we're going to show you how smart we are. And he's been a bust, an absolute bust as a number 4 overall pick. I mean, he's at this point a situational guy who backs up the 2 starters, Unique and Crosby. So not really scared of that guy.
Yeah.
I don't see, now they got some decent linebackers, not going to, knock them there. They got Denzel Perryman, Corey Little, and KJ Wright, who they just recently signed, and they're pretty good. But look, we've seen the Ravens take on the number 1, number 2. I mean, look at the Steelers when they were number 1 by a sizable margin in playing the run, and the Ravens put up $170 on them. I mean, it's just the Ravens take good run defending teams and they smash them in the mouth. And this is not a good run defending team, Jimbo.
Yeah, I mean, it's reminiscent of me. To me, it's reminiscent of what we did to the Cowboys last year in that game, where I think our running backs averaged 8 a carry in that game. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think it's going to be. I'm not saying they're going to average 8 a carry. Look, it's their first home open. It's their home opener post COVID. Fans in the stands and things like that. So certainly there's going to be some adrenaline going. But I agree with you. So all right, let's talk about how we see the pass game breaking down. Who do you in this game? I'm trying to decide how much of a discrepancy as far as targets there will be between, because now you got 3 legitimate mouths to feed. I mean, you got more than 3, but you got Hollywood, you got Andrews, and you got Sammy. And I don't think Sammy wants to fall back into that third fiddle. As humble as he is, and as much as he wants to play his part, I don't think he wants to fall back into that third fiddle role. I think we saw that in camp because Sammy was showing out. He was staying healthy as well as he could. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And playing really well. People were saying, all right, this is the Sammy Watkins we think about when we think of Sammy Watkins. So I wonder what the the proportion of catches or targets, I guess, is going to go to each one of them. I think it's going to be really interesting. How do you see that playing out?
Yeah, it's certainly something you got to. It's something you're gonna have to update and revisit throughout the season as guys get healthy, right? Because Bateman, I think when he comes back, will certainly make himself more of a part of this offense, and that'll totally shake up the target share. But I think if I was predicting as far as fantasy goes, I would say the highest catch totals are certainly still going to remain Andrews and Marquise Brown. But I would look for Sammy Watkins to be more of that home run threat, a guy that can take one and take it a long, long way. So I guess I would say that Sammy Watkins to me is more of a lesser volume, but maybe big play, more the big play guy. And I think I just don't know how you can't overstate the relationship that Lamar Jackson has with Hollywood Brown and with Mark Andrews. I mean, these are guys that train together. They train together in the offseason. And in Hollywood's case, he's the quarterback's best friend. And that just cannot be overstated. That just, you have a confidence level, a trust, and they're going to continue, I think, to get the bulk of the carry or of the targets. But man, I can't wait to see what Sammy does. If Sammy can keep his butt on the field, which throughout camp he did miss some time, but when he was on the field, Jimbo, I mean, you saw it. He was giving Marlon all he wanted, and Marlon had just about as good a camp as we've ever seen from him, and that's saying something when you're talking about a top 2-to-1 cornerback in the entire league.
I just want to pause for a second. What's I hope everything's all right with Nana Rave. I just noticed.
Oh yeah, we haven't seen her. Yeah.
Well, and I saw that Don C said, Nana Rave, tell her she's missed and that we all pray she's well. And then Lisa Ann said, Nana, we love you and hope you're okay.
Oh, geez. Well,
yeah.
I certainly hope.
Yeah, guys, if there's something up with Nana, let us know. We'll reach out and do the same. We'll send her some words of encouragement. And we hope for all the same. She needs to be out there because look, she's the Ravens' good mojo, man.
No doubt. I mean, and she's an awesome part of our show too. So
okay, cool. Everything's fine. Sounds like she's just not in here. Okay.
Okay. All right. Cool. You guys had us worried here.
I know. Man,
we can't.
I just want to say this. I will disagree with you on this point. I have an inclination that I think Sammy will turn into the contested catches, intermediate route type stuff. And I don't know if I know Marquise, we want him to like be that guy and to kind of mold into that. And I can see Sammy totally taking like a slant to the house, like you were saying, taking it a long way. But I think that those shots down the field, I think that because I think it's still going to be Marquise. And I think that's where Marquise will make an impact in this game. I think it will evolve throughout the season because even at the end of last season, we saw Marquise getting some more intermediate stuff. But he hasn't had a ton of preseason work, even less than Sammy. I'm really interested to see how that plays out. But I kind of see Sammy being that wily vet that's taking the intermediate stuff, up the sideline stuff, contested catches type things, moving the chains type play, the Anquan Bolden type, the Derek Mason type, the guy that, when you need a catch, you're going to, assuming he can stay healthy. That's how I see Sammy's role here. Not saying that Marquise isn't going to get attention, but I think that, if you think about it, the biggest difference in my eyes, between some of the plays that Marquise and Lamar had their 19 and 20 wasn't about the scheme or even being open. It was just about the timing. It seemed a little off. Gotcha. So I think that they'll just hit on a few more of those. But I see the intermediate, the higher volume stuff, honestly, maybe Sammy edging out a little bit as far as receivers go, but third down conversions, we know 89's taking and red zone, we know 89's taking the cake, right?
Yeah, absolutely, and rightfully so.
And any surprises? So we talk about the guys like Duvernay, Prochet, Wallace. Any surprises out there? I'm just gonna say for me, I think that of the three, if one of them shines, and this is probably an easy pick, but I'm gonna go with Duvernay. I think talking about taking a slant to the house. I can see him doing something like that. Or breaking a tackle and busting down the field. But what's your take on those three and the impact they'll have?
Well, I think that that's a good one. But if I had to pick my surprise, a guy who I think
I know you're going with Tylen.
I'm not even going to go Tylen. I'm thinking
Proche.
No, not even Proche. Keep going,
Wait,
Jimbo. He doesn't play wide receiver.
Oh, wait. Oh, you talking about Oliver?
I'm thinking Josh Oliver might be able to make some noise. Look, we like to run multiple tight end sets, maybe more than anyone in the league. And we know their focus is going to be on
the
Mark Andrews.
$56 million man.
That's right. And if you remember, when Hayden Hurst was here, while he didn't have the numbers that Mark Andrews had, he still had a heck of a rookie season and made a bunch of big-time plays for us. I mean, he made a bunch of long plays for us. And I think that Oliver could be a guy who, while Andrews is getting all this attention, certainly on these play action, they're going to keep their eyes on him, watch him try and squeeze through and come out unscathed. They're going to keep their eyes on him. But Oliver, I don't know if he's gotten the respect yet because he hasn't done anything yet in this league. So I think largely he'll go a little bit more unnoticed on the field than obviously Andrews and all these other guys. And I think he's got a shot to embarrass some people because there's no doubt the guy's athletic. And if you want to try and run with him with a linebacker, good luck.
Yeah,
and Chris White says they need to use Marquise like Tyreek Hill. Well, look, that's easier said than done. I agree with you. But Tyreek Hill is just a different animal. I mean, he is just an absolute freak of nature. He's a guy, you talk about playing bigger than his size. This guy plays like he's 6'5". He's faster than anyone in the league. And as much as we like Marquise, and I think we all believe he's really fast, I don't know if there's a player in the league that can touch Tyreek Hill in speed. I just don't know. And then the way he attacks the ball, like he's way bigger than he is. He's strong. I think they need to kind of do stuff like they do with Tyreek. But I mean, Tyreek is kind of he's a different type of beast.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the largest discrepancy they have in their game, because top end speed, I bet you it's comparable. Like I think Tyreek is faster, but I don't think it's so different. But to me, what Tyreek has is the twitchiness along with the top end speed. He's not only the fastest on the field in 100 yards, he's the fastest on the field in 5 and in 10 and in every increment, he's the fastest.
Oh, I couldn't touch him in my hallway. In my own hallway, he'd go by me, and I'm pretty long.
Right. Yeah. It's just, so I think that is the biggest discrepancy. But the one thing I will say, while I mentioned that I'd like to see, I think that Sammy will be the intermediate guy, the tough catch guy and things like that. I do think that one thing that will help Marquise's mindset and just getting into the game and starting to attack the ball more and play more fluidly is get him some easy stuff early. Get him some easy stuff, draw some plays for him that's really easy.
Uh-oh. Here we go again. Jimbo having technical difficulties. We are definitely having to put that. Oh, there we go. Now you're back.
Jeez, a whiz. I was good. I was rolling. So my point though is my point though is that I would like to see that happen with Marquise. I don't know if it will, but that would be interesting. But so Oliver's an interesting one.
I liked who was it in the chat said Tyson Williams. Christopher Shook, who oftentimes, he knows his stuff. There's no doubt. He says Tyson Williams is going to get 2 touchdowns in this game.
Wow.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, look, they're going to be running the ball a lot, and Gus might be a little tired from marching 80 yards down the field, and he might need a breather and let Tyson pick up that last yard or two.
Yeah, and Lisa says, Glenn and James, what about Pat Ricard in all of this?
Well, I think Pat Ricard's going to be mashing guys like Yannick Ngakoue, Max Crosby.
No fun for them.
If Yannick Ngakoue gets in the way of Pat Ricard, it's going to be bad news bears for him. But as far as
what's the Coyote's name? Is it Riley the Coyote?
Wiley Coyote.
There you go. So like you remember the road grader, and he would go flat. He would just go 2D and then just spin around. Like that's going to be Yannick Ngakoue and Patrick Ricard. I mean, it's just going to be bad. But I will call this out. This is my one of my predictions of the game, and I've been pretty hot lately with my predictions.
Mm-hmm.
First drive of this game, Pat Ricard's getting a reception.
Oh, well, I'll give you that. I mean, there's a chance he could catch a ball in the flat because he's certainly shown he can do that.
First drive though. You watch.
Okay.
First drive.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
And he'll take us down to like the 3.
Oh, so he'll get one in the red zone, you're saying?
Yeah, and I think he'll get like a first down
now
on
we'll
see.
Okay.
We'll see.
All right. I think that catch happens a little earlier on the drive. Picks up about 4 to 6.
And takes about 4 to 6 souls at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, believe me, if there's a corner out there, he's not going out of bounds without getting some contact.
Old Abrams might even second guess that one.
I tell you what, he better because he's going to be in for a long one. But yeah, I mean, I think that offensively, those are some good ones. I just can't wait for this daggone game. But I want to also talk a couple more defensive things for him.
Yeah. And while you're doing that real quick, Don C, we are working out the audio setup because what we want to do is we want to make sure that it's a good experience for the people live and the good experience that are watching live. So we're still working on that. But we're still doing it. We'll get you a date, certainly.
Yeah, absolutely. And then defensively, they signed Gus Bradley to be their new defensive coordinator, which I think was a great move in the sense that a change had to be made there. They were just horrible defensively. But I would kind of pump my brakes a little bit if I was, a fan of the Raiders who was thinking that Gus Bradley's going to come in and he's just going to totally make this a top 10 defense. I mean, his last year, he was the number 23 ranked defense as a San Diego Charger. So, I mean, as an LA Charger, they had the 23 ranked defense in the league. So it's not like he's coming from a number 3 defense and he's coming over here. No, he was let go when who was it there? Anthony Lynn was fired.
Yeah.
So it's not like he's coming in and he's boasting on top 4 defense, top 5, top 10, even top half of the league. You're talking about a guy who had a defense that was in the back half of the league. So while I do think it's an upgrade at the position, and he certainly had success against the Ravens in the past, namely the playoff game where the Chargers beat the Ravens and knocked them out of the playoffs in 2018, Lamar's rookie season. Obviously, the Ravens have come a long way. This offense has come a long way since 2018 when Lamar Jackson was fresh into the league, didn't have, Flacco got all the first team reps, started the first 9 games, and he jumped in game 10 to take over a team that was 4-5 and looking to go the wrong way. Resurrected them. Now the Chargers did get them in the playoffs, but let's not act like this is for one the Chargers roster from that year, and for two the same Ravens offense that he saw that year.
Yeah. Gus Bradley is not going to be the savior for this team. At the end of the day, coaches aren't going to play. You can draw the best scheme in the world, but if you don't have the bodies to do it, the biggest thing for me defensively is that the front office they don't hit enough in the draft and they don't care enough about it. Chucky doesn't care about defense. He just doesn't care. And Mike Mayock is a television personality.
I don't know how much longer Mike Mayock is there. I think Gruden is just, he's their biggest star. Remember, it wasn't too long ago, Jimbo, that our biggest star was our kicker, right? Imagine if that was their biggest star is their head coach. That's not necessarily where you want to be as a team. You want to have your biggest star be the guys on the field actually making plays.
Yeah, that camera's all over Chucky every game.
Every game, and I think we're going to see a lot of Chucky and that
the
face
of his. Let's see your best Gruden face, Glenn.
Man, I'm not ready yet. I need to see it. I'm a good imitator, but I'm not a good impressionist.
I'm trying to think of a good face. Trying to think of a good one.
If I see it in front of me, I can kind of mock it a little bit. But
she's here.
Cold. Nana Rave?
She's here.
I didn't see. Okay. Oh, there she is. All right. Hey, Nana Rave, we were missing you. Had us worried over here. A little false alarm. So thank you for joining us. We absolutely appreciate it. The thing that comes down to this for me is the Ravens are going to go into that game knowing that they're a little beat up on the outside. They need some more time on this offense to get gelling. So they're just going to stick with what they do, Jimbo. They're going to run the ball. They're going to play action off of it. My question is, when they talked in the offseason, they talked about how Lamar's going to be under center more often. Do you see this game the start of that, where he is under center more often, calls some more deception in the play action game? Or are we going to go back to what the bread and butter is and go into that pistol formation and gain the deception that way?
Yeah, I don't know if I see a ton under center. I think that it's just another, what is the saying? It's just another feather in the cap, like another arrow in the quiver type thing. Mm-hmm. So I don't see it. I don't see it a ton. And honestly, look, I don't know strategically what the need is for it a ton. I don't think you see it more than 5-7 snaps in the game. But I'm hoping I can do this correctly here. Let's see if I can. All right, let me see if I can do this. All right, give me a second.
Jimbo?
Here we go. Can you see this?
Oh, there it is.
Here we go. Now hold on. Take a look at it. And then we'll make the screen big.
All
right. Let's have at it.
Now I got to get the hair right. I tell you what, for the recap, I will do my best, Gruden. But look, I'm no Frank Caliendo. That is for certain. The guy can get it done. But I want to quickly recap. Okay, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think it's important that last year, since we started the show, we've done our predictions over under type situation. Mm-hmm. So I think that we should spend some time, unless you're, you know what, this is what we're going to do. We're going to tease it for you guys. Special episode, by the way, Monday night with the one and only Tony Thornton from 7 to 8. We're going to be live pumping up the game. So get really excited. In that, we will do our over-under for our Ravens and offensively and defensively. But what I want to do right now, so make sure you guys are there, 7 p.m. Eastern on Monday night. We live. Mm-hmm. But what I want to do now, unless you have something else in mind, is I'd like to talk about surprises in this game. Who you see as we talked about offensively, but a surprise breakout defensively or offensively, but someone that, look, is totally off the radar that you see making a serious contribution in this game. So I want to talk about it. I have mine, but I'd like to know yours. So I can start with mine if you want.
Sure. If you got one already keyed up, let's hear it.
Yeah. So I got one that I've been thinking about a lot lately that is a surprise and isn't a surprise. You let me know if I'm letting myself off the hook easy, that's fine.
Okay.
Tavon. I think Tavon Young, no one's talking about Tavon except when they're talking about him getting hurt. But I think he comes in here, has a couple big tackles and a couple pass deflections in this game. I think Hunter Renfrow is in for a long night because Tavon is a really good slot corner when he's healthy. Mm-hmm, and so I think Tavon will be a surprisingly impactful player in this game. Is that a surprise or not? Do I need to dig further into my...
No, I think that would be a surprise. I mean, look, a lot of people didn't think he'd make it this far without getting banged up. So I think it's a surprise that he's even on the field. And I hate to say it, but I think there's a bit of a surprise there. But as far as defensively, there's a bunch of guys you could look to. But to say surprise, if I wanted to make it surprising, look, I know this guy's going to take time to develop and grow into this freak of an athlete that he is.
Yeah, robot Glenn is true. I thought maybe it was just me.
Are we good now? Glenn? All right, are we good? Are we back in there?
Robot.
You know what? It's probably because I have 38 windows open in my browser, and that's not doing me any favors. Let me see if I can close a couple of these.
And then hit your mute on your mic and back off.
Any better?
No.
Hang on.
Technical difficulties, ladies and gentlemen. Well, so look, I think that Tavon will be the guy's surprise defensively. I think another player that people are overlooking. You got it? Oh no, still muted. You're muted on your thing. Hold on, let me unmute you. All right, go. Oh, you got to unmute yourself down to the bottom.
Here we go. Can you hear me?
Gotcha. He's back.
All right, cool. So thank you, anonymous YouTuber. I appreciate you. Yeah, we are. It's because I moved. If you guys haven't noticed,
yeah,
it looks very similar, but I've moved to a different spot in my house, trying to get a little bit, but that's why you might notice a little more echo. But we're gonna do it. I'm gonna continue to get this better. But I moved up from the basement up into one of our guest
Moving
rooms
up in the
here.
world, my man.
Yeah, to get a little bit more to allow people to enjoy the basement a little more rather than me completely taking it over when I need to do a show and kicking everyone out. But my guy is Odafe Owe, and the reason is everyone is expecting him to take some time, and I think he will take some time. But I think Wink and the rest of these coaches are about tired of hearing this guy's a bust. This guy is just an athlete who can't play football. I think they're going to look to highlight this guy and put him in a position to succeed. So I think he's going to be doing some stunts, doing some twists. He's going to get one-on-one matchups. And let's be honest, this isn't the most skilled offensive line. I mean, they got some holes there. They got Alex Leatherwood, I know that they drafted, and I think he's got a chance to be a good player. But I do not think he's ready for what Odafe and this defense is going to bring. They're going to bring those exotic blitzes. They're going to be coming from every direction. And I think him and the rest of that line is going to be a little confused because nobody confuses an offensive line, in my opinion, better than Wink Martindale. And when you add a guy who can run a 4.3, let's just remember, he's likely going to be the fastest guy on the field, and he weighs 265 pounds. So this guy, if given the correct direction, he's going to be a big, big problem. So I think he's my sleeper. Odafe Owe gets at least one sack, and I think he's disruptive as heck in the run game.
Wow. All right. So, I mean, it sounds like if he comes out hot, you thinking he gets to 10, Glenn?
I'm thinking, look, everyone's concerned. My wife says he can't eat that. It's not good for him. It's not something he should do. Now, I know you're still confident, but if he busts out 2, or maybe even if he surprises the world and pops out 3 in the first week, and you're telling me he's got 16 games to get 7, you're going to start getting nervous. You're going to be on the old Google machine looking up, what can this do to me? How can this harm me? And look, we're not going to let you have the easy way out, Jimbo. You've been too bullish with your prediction, and we're going to have to hold you to your word.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm a man of my word. That's okay. And don't you guys, just so you guys know, since a few days ago, the Orlando Brown jersey is in transit. So, I will certainly do the same. I know that you're going to honor your word. I will do the same. And then, hi-ho silver, isn't that how it goes? When with the old laxative afterward, make sure
these old man sayings.
It goes down the pipe. Well,
you just have another old man's hi-ho silver.
It's a treasure trove of old man sayings. This is just how it goes, man. But listen, so Odafe is a good one because I think people are expecting him to take some time to develop. But maybe it's the other way around, right? Maybe he starts off hot and then he hits that rookie wall. Maybe I'm just
I'm sure you're hoping for whatever.
Yeah, no, look, I want to be wrong because I'm not really that concerned about eating this thing. I can chop it up and look, I'll put it in the air fryer. I'll bread it or something. I don't know, like what, you know what I mean? I'm just gonna bread it, throw it in the air fryer, put some barbecue on it, like no big deal. But yeah, that's a good one. That's a really good one. Wow,
Asmodeus is giving you the get out of jail free card. Look, I get that the baby is right around the corner. I mean, really, any day now, you could be welcoming your child, your first child into the world. And I wouldn't want to do anything to take that child's father away. But I'll tell you this, Jimbo. If something were to happen, you can count on your boy. I will be there to support. I will make sure Katie is there to help. And I will take that youngster under my wing and that's so horrible. I shouldn't even joke like that.
Yeah, no.
That's terrible. That is absolutely terrible. But no, I think he's going to be just fine. He's a healthy guy. Look, people have eaten a lot worse. I mean, let's be honest here. People put their bodies through a lot worse. Just watch any of the Jackass movies. Jimmy is going to be just fine. He's a very healthy guy.
Look, hold on a second. That is a serious assumption to assume he's going to get to 10.
Oh, no one's assuming. We're just saying, what if? What if?
Yeah.
And that's, it's a scary one. Now, I did see.
That's my problem, Nana. I've been fooling with this Glenn for way too long. That's the problem.
Yep. It's been a long, long time. Now, Brim says, old Sack Daddy's going to be the hero.
Yeah,
he says.
I heard you on Tyson on the 2 touchdowns, but you might be out of bag. What is the saying? Out of bag, out of hand. What you might
I'm
be
not
on
that
your
cool.
own. You might be on your own with this one, man, because Sack Daddy's not getting 2 sacks. I don't think he had a game in the preseason with 2 sacks, and he was going against 8th stringers.
He was
like
being
those
held,
guys
Jimbo.
are on Indeed looking for a job right now.
He was being held. That's what Wink says.
Nah, get out of here. Nah. I'm sorry. I'm riding with Tyson.
Now you're choppy.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Oh my goodness. It's just not been our night tonight. Let me know if I'm crazy or was Jimbo choppy and robotic there as well. But quickly, while you fix that, Jimbo, I just want to go over our offensive ranking and defensive rankings. Last year, the Ravens offense ranked 7th in the league. They were 7th in the league in points, scoring 468. They were 19th in yards. Look, what I find interesting is they were dead last in attempts. Let me hear you, Jimbo.
It's you.
Is it me again?
It's you. Look.
Oh, God. Glenn is a son of a...
Oh, jeez.
Any better?
No. You're going old school with it, just blowing into the cartridge. That's awesome. Oh, guys, what were we talking about? All right. So I hope you guys are watching this. This is a blast. Oh my gosh. Okay. So at the end of the day, I think that the Raiders are in for a long night. I think that they are going to struggle. I think wait, you're muted, by the way. Unmute yourself. I think that they're going to struggle. I think they're in for a long night. I think the Baltimore Ravens are going to I think we're going to win by 14. I'm not ready to give my prediction yet. Still breaking up, Glenn.
Is it still? How about now?
Hey, he's back.
Now, Brim says I got to eat my mic cover to clear it up. I don't have a mic cover. Well,
this is the thing is that it is impossible for me to control my volume as far as how loud I speak. What is that called? Anyway, the volume with which I speak, I have terrible control of it. So I got a mic cover to buffer. Glenn has a normal human's control of his volume, so I don't think you have a mic cover, do you?
No, I don't.
No, I'm easily excitable like a labradoodle.
Yes. Yeah, just remember the draft party.
Whew. Yeah. I think I blew Glenn's right ear. This is just bad news. Yeah. So yeah, well, honestly, I don't remember what we were talking about. Can I just be honest?
All I know is I just Nintendo fixed it. Like, who was it that said it in the comment? You're right. I don't even know how to begin to pronounce that. But yes, I did Nintendo fix that. Had to hit like the old cartridges.
Drago.
But the one thing I wanted to highlight on the Ravens that I find fascinating is that the Ravens were once again last year dead last in passing attempts, dead last in passing yards, but yet 13th in passing touchdowns. And just imagine if Lamar Jackson threw even close to the league average in total passes, how many touchdowns would this guy throw? How many yards would this guy have? The fact that he's 13th in the league last year and number 1 in the league the year before in passing touchdowns, when he threw so many fewer times than anyone he had. I mean, it's absolutely insane. And with the fact that this is a ball control offense, he doesn't even get a ton of possessions because each possession is such a long, slow, methodical march down the field because that's how the offense is designed to keep the other offense on the sidelines. If he had the average amount of pass attempts, the average amount of possessions, and if he actually played all 4 quarters because we weren't blowing the doors off teams, it wouldn't even be a discussion. But I'm thankful that the team is usually winning, usually in the lead, doesn't need to throw from behind the entire 4th quarter. They're usually grinding the clock out.
Yeah.
This is a blessing. So, I mean, it's enough with the nonsense. I mean, it's just absolutely crazy. But as far as rushing, obviously number 1 in attempts, number 1 in yards, number 1 in yards per attempt. As a team, Jimbo, we averaged 5.5 yards a carry.
Yeah, it's insane. And the other thing I want to mention too, something a commenter said, JB3, I don't know if you're a Ravens or a Raiders fan, trying to figure this one out. Ravens haven't played well against teams they should demolish ever since Lamar Jackson took over at quarterback.
What?
I mean,
What?
he literally toys with people. The teams that we should demolish. Look at his first game against Miami in 2019, and that's just the top of the hit list. Yeah, 59-10, and it could have easily been in the 70s. Easily.
Oh, they were sitting on the bench. Is it bad again? I think I hear it. Is it bad again?
No. You're good. Okay. You're just getting paranoid now.
Last year, the Browns were good, right? I mean, they were one of the best teams in the league. They won a playoff game. They took the Chiefs to they took them to the fourth quarter in a tough game. The Ravens beat them 38-6 in week 1. So the Ravens in week 1 are nobody to be trifled with. They blow the doors off of teams. In the last 2 seasons, they've almost beat them 100-16 in 2 games. I mean, you're talking about 97-16 in 2 games. I mean, teams just get their – and then to say that that's just nonsense. They don't lose to bad teams.
Yeah, Prince Quan brings up
it's playoffs.
Yeah, Prince Quan brings up a good point. Look what he did to the NFC East last year. The NFC East is absolute garbage. Lamar Jackson, I mean, obviously we
31-17 against the football team. Let's see. The Dallas Cowboys 34-17.
Right.
The Giants 27-13. The Eagles 30-28. So actually that was the closest game.
Yeah.
But he swept them. He swept a bad division. He swept all 4.
He did. Look, like you said, Lamar Jackson loses in the playoffs. I mean, there's not very many other times he loses. Like, let's call it what it is.
And who do you play in the playoffs, Jimbo? Do you play bad teams in the playoffs?
Yeah, you only play good teams. Right?
Right.
You only play good teams. There you go, Prince Quan. Nice correction. NFC least. Yeah, certainly. But okay, so let's do this then. How are you feeling to wrap up this show to give scoring predictions? You want to do this now, or you want to make folks wait until Monday?
I don't mind doing it now. I mean, I think that you guys should still be excited to come join us on that pregame show. We're going to be bringing a ton of energy. Tony's going to be on the show, which I know everyone likes to see Tony. He's
we're going to be giving all of our breakdown of the over-unders, our predictions for stats, things like that. And last thing, really quickly, Glenn, this year, I decided this the other day when I was out running.
Okay.
I decided that we are going to have a weekly winner for our over-unders. And we will, if you are in the continental United States, sorry if you're not, or in Canada, we will send you a t-shirt. We'll send you a t-shirt. Okay. The person who gets the most over-unders correct and is subbed to the channel, follows us on Instagram and follows us on Twitter. Those are the underlying conditions to compete in the weekly competition. We will send you a shirt if you get the 3 over-unders that we pick during the previous show. So just remember that. We'll send you a shirt. Make sure to participate. All you got to do is watch the preview show.
Now, in order to narrow it down to just one winner, we might have to make this a tough, because, I mean, if you just make it a simple, over-under, for 3-1, we might have a ton of winners. Yep. So we're going to have to figure out a way to make this the tough competition so we don't have 13 14, 15, or even more winners each week.
Yeah, and we're gonna so we'll also set it up to where somehow we'll get numbers involved to where like the possibility of one winner or more than one winner is highly unlikely.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to do it.
But we're gonna have a weekly competition, ladies and gentlemen, but with which you can win a t-shirt weekly.
Yep, absolutely. And so I'm ready to go. If you want me to go to kick us off, okay. So when I look at this game, I see 2 teams they're just different time. They're at different points in their I don't know if it's called a rebuild for the Raiders or what, but you got one team ready to compete for a Super Bowl, and you can tell me about the injuries. That's fine. I understand that the JK loss was bad. Justice Hill not happy about it, but doesn't really move the needle as far as wins losses, in my opinion. The defense has been incredibly healthy. I still think this offense has the best collection of talent around Lamar Jackson that he's ever had in his career. So I think that the Ravens are going to to come out and make a statement with this first game. They always do in those opening games. They've been preparing for this team for months. Like Chuck Clark said, they had their iPads out as soon as the schedule was dropped, and they were watching tape and getting ready for these guys. So with that being said, the fact that they're going into a game with a bunch of guys that aren't necessarily specialists at stopping the run. I know they brought in, I think Rankins is their big, Hankins. I'm sorry, Jonathan Hankins is their big D tackle. I don't think that that's enough. I think that they're going to get ran on. I think it's going to be a long, painful opening to that stadium for those Raiders fans. And I think that by the fourth quarter, you're going to hear a lot of purple screaming. You're not going to hear a ton of Raiders fans. I think we're going to be well represented in that building. And we're going to hear a lot. We're going to see a lot of 8 jerseys, and they're going to be real happy leaving that building. I got the score 31-13. I think we handle them pretty easily. And Justin Tucker, the only reason he kicks that field goal is because this is a closing half drive, and every other drive, I think, ends in a touchdown.
Wow. All right. I like it, Glenn. Well, I'm very close to your score, and it's funny because I think both you and I gave. If you guys watch, we had Willie Wi-Fi on, of course, and we went on his show to talk up the Ravens. So go check that out too. It's pretty comical in my opinion. Go check it out. I think it was a good show. But the point in saying that was originally I said 34-20. I'm going 34-10. I don't see that defense giving up an inch. We are gonna blitz all night. Yeah, it's just what I think is gonna be. They're not gonna get another yard, right? Just like Coach Yost says, and I see it. I see it something like that. 34-10, and all the other things you mentioned. The sea of purple is gonna be out there, going crazy. And yeah, I mean, we have very similar scores. You said 31-13, right?
Yep.
Yeah, 31-13, 34-10. Either way, an absolute waxing.
Yeah, and Troy agrees with me, and I like that because he's usually pretty wise in the comments. So I appreciate the tie and or the like-mindedness that he brought. But yeah, I mean, I think that the only chance. So what would the Raiders? So this would have to happen for the Raiders to pull this upset off. What would this be, Jimbo?
Lamar gets injured? No, honestly, I mean, I think it would have to be that Lamar gets turnover happy.
Okay.
And in really disadvantageous situations, because I think our defense can still get the job done. Even if he does turn over a couple times. But look, if we go in there and do our job, we're not losing this game. I just don't see any way around it.
Yeah.
I don't see. And this is another one. If Max Crosby and Ngakoue all of a sudden know how to stop the run, maybe they have a chance. But I have a feeling that Max Crosby, Glenn, might end up on a highlight tape on ESPN's top 10. Got a feeling about that one.
I'll tell you what, I think Abrams got a real good shot. The way he comes in, 100 miles an hour, comes screaming down. He could find himself on a highlight tape. But, we failed to mention this guy. And Trayvon Moehrig is the free safety for the Las Vegas Raiders. We have his counterpart or his running mate, I guess I should say, back at TCU in Ardarius Washington. Any chance Ardarius steals the show and makes more plays, even though it's obvious Moehrig he's going to get a lot more snaps. There's no doubt about it. But I think we'll see Ardarius Washington at some point in this game. Certainly on special teams, we'll see him. Any chance Ardarius steals the show? No, just a snap basis.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that Moehrig is already running with the ones, right? So,
he is. He's number one free safety. Yep.
Yeah. So I don't see it, but it would be awesome. It would be super cool. But I don't see it. But ask that same question now. The same question you asked to me. Now I ask it back to you. What would need to happen for the Ravens to go in there and lose this game?
I think what would have to happen is the Ravens would have to struggle stopping the run. I think the Raiders are going to want to try and impose their will and run the ball on every team, and that the Ravens are no different. So I think if Josh Jacobs can get himself going, make a few guys miss, get some confidence going, and then they can run play action off of that, and then have Darren Waller screaming up the seam, get Henry Ruggs behind one of the guys in the back end of that defense. Hunter Renfrow is picking up first down after first down because they're 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3. They're in short. If they can stay ahead of the chains and keep it 3rd and short, picking up, good chunks on 1st and 2nd down on the ground, I think then you got a ball game. If they're able to stop and stuff Josh Jacobs anywhere close to, what they did to Derrick Henry, then I think it's a really tough. Now I know they got Kenyon Drake, they got Peyton Barber, they got some guys. And I think Kenyon Drake's a good player too. These are two guys that I think this is another backfield where I think you got two number ones in the sense that both could do the job if called upon. And then Peyton Barber, I think, is a nice player who's always been a contributor on any offense he's been on. But if they can't if the offensive line can't open up holes and they can't stay ahead of the chains and get to 3rd and short, it's going to be a long, long night for them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even want to wish them good luck, but that's the only real advice I can give to the Raiders at this point. I just think it's a done deal. It's a tough task to play Baltimore in week 1. So look out. I'm really excited for it. Like I said, make sure you guys, wherever, if you're not watching here, or if you're at work, you want to put us in your pocket and listen, check us out on anywhere you listen to your podcast as well. Of course, sub here, the easiest way to support us. DK is always writing on our Patreon. Go check it out. Find us on anywhere on social media. I don't have our Instagram logo up here, but we're also on Instagram. So go check us out, because in week 2, Glenn, we're going to be at the game. We're going to be Instagramming all over the place, Twittering all over the place. Twittering, you like that? Do I sound like a grandpa?
Yep. Oh, yeah.
But make sure you guys go check it out.
Twitter machine.
That's right. And be there Monday night, 7 p.m. We cannot wait. We will reveal our weekly competition, the parameters of it, and which, the winner will get a t-shirt every week. So make sure you join us Monday night, and we'll give a couple shout outs here to end this out.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to Troy. And Troy, I'm not going to be wearing that daggone jersey. Actually, no, I will be wearing it, because are we doing the pregame or the recap, or both?
When? Monday?
No, when I have to wear that hideous.
Oh, you can pick.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you what. Either way, I guess you're going to have to see. I guess you will see it. So shout out to Troy. Shout out to Future Hendricks. Appreciate you always giving us some love. Herb Jones. Appreciate you coming out. McDiamond. Don C. always hyping up the likes. We appreciate that. Tanja Bone. Out here with us. We appreciate you. Future Hendricks, you as well. Tim Oat or Ott. I still don't know if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. But I appreciate you coming out with us. Nana Rave, good to see you. After that scare, everyone had us nervous. Pretty Sunshine, appreciate you coming out and getting live in the content, or the comments. Jason Moyer, JB3. Let's see. Iman Thomas, thank you. Wheezy Wheeze, appreciate you coming out. If I'm missing, Gavin Sanders, I missed you. Aaron Butler, if I missed anyone, I appreciate you. Oh, also shout out to Ing Raven for jumping in the comments earlier. But if I missed you, if you were a silent observer, thank you so much for spending some time with us. Can't wait for Monday. Don't forget, 7 o'clock, we will be live getting you ready for that game, and we'll talk soon.
See ya.